Hi, I'm Blake Phillips, Mr. Bepic. I am the Rocket League coach at Huntington College, and I'm also in charge of media and anything kind of on the creative side, as well as being the assistant director here at Huntington. I've always loved car games. I think that is an obvious attribute of mine, being the Rocket League coach. Mario Kart, the Cars movie franchise, love that. And then I found Clash Royale, and that's where the competitive side of me starts. This Clash Royale, Minecraft Bed Wars, that's where I really started to get competitive. But I've always played video games. I wish I'd chosen games, first of all, that really had developed esports scenes to get really good at, because Clash Royale, I was pretty darn good. When they started their esport, I was a fan from day one. So that was my first introduction into high-level broadcasts and being a fan of an esport. Minecraft Bed Wars, I was just really good at. Me and my now college roommate were probably top 200 at Bed Wars. We'd go on 40-game win streaks. We would break down the game strategically, know what the meta was in that game, and COVID really helped with that. I'd always enjoyed being in front of the camera, like morning news in middle school, high school. So I filled in as a caster for a Rocket League broadcast, and from there I've turned that into a 4-year casting profession, and now I transitioned to coaching as well. But casting is where I really got my start in competitive esports, really being involved in that scene, because I was just surrounded by it constantly, talking over it constantly. So I never really was much of a competitive gamer, but when it came to casting and breaking down games from that lens, I love that part of my life. When it comes to breaking down the game, I can do it at a very high level. So it differs from playing in that I think I get more stressed out coaching than I do actually playing the game, because standing behind your guys while they have to figure things out on the fly, I mean, obviously I get 60 seconds with them in between games of a Rocket League series, but it's so stressful standing behind them and hoping they make the right decisions. Typically they do, but it's not easy. You're not in control when you're standing behind them when a game's going on. There's a bit more control in between games, but a lot of the pressure lays on your player's shoulders, and for someone that is as competitive as I am, that's not easy to handle, but it builds a certain amount of trust between you and your players, and I think that's a bond that is extremely special. The biggest challenge is figuring out how to beat teams that are better than us, and figuring out how to put players together on a field that have never played together before, which is something that typically happens at the start of each semester. I mean, when I started here, we brought in a new third. That was one of the biggest challenges that I was just thrown into. I had to take a team that lost one of their best players, and I wouldn't say there were high expectations placed on me, but I think, as Justin liked to say, we don't have to win, but I like to win. And I took that team to the national championship in the NECC. We won our conference in the ECAC. And I think it comes down to communication and making sure those guys can gel outside the game. I mean, I always hype them up. Positivity is a big part of how I coach. There are some coaches that like to coach with more of an iron fist than I do. And I think part of that is that's how I want to be treated on the pitch. I want to be treated with respect, and I want to be built up rather than broken down. And so far it's worked for me. All players that I've seen perform better when they're being built up. I'll take a gold. I'll recruit a gold, give them a scholarship to play, as long as they can be coachable. Because I've seen improvement in my players. We've got stories already in the brief history of our program of players coming in at a low rank, but being willing to get coached, willing to grind the game, and their results on the field have reflected that mindset of theirs. And I don't care what rank anybody is. If they can come in and take criticism well and apply that to their gameplay, then they're an all-right player in my book. I stepped into this role not knowing what to expect, and it's been a challenge. I mean, from simple stuff like having scrims for your players constantly to the more complicated things like having players expressing anger and frustration and taking that out on their teammates. It's not easy to be put into that kind of situation without experience, whether it's a player spiking a controller or whatever negative story you can think of when it comes to competitive gaming. You got to be ready for that. You got to be ready to deal with that. And it's not easy. It comes with experience, being able to handle that. But approach things with a positive mindset, and positive things will happen.
Sweet, thank you. I kept forgetting what question you were asking.
Yeah.
So I just go.